I have been of this opinion for a while now, and I'm sure you guys know it by now based off the other videos that I've made about this player. But Giannis Antetokounmpo is the best basketball player in the world in my opinion, and I think he's reaching a level where it's not really even a debate. What he's been doing this season is simply put on another level, and he's starting to reach that status I saw with LeBron in the 2010s, where there are other great players in the league. There are going to be players that win MVPs over him and be very deserving of those MVPs, but at the end of the day, LeBron was still the best basketball player in the world, and I'm starting to feel that way about Giannis. Sure, other guys will win MVPs over him, even though I think that Giannis will win MVP this season. But that doesn't change the fact that Giannis is the best player in the world. Giannis Antetokounmpo through 5 games is averaging 34.4 points per game, 14 rebounds per game, and 5.8 assists per game. And he's shooting 60.4% from the field, 35.3% from 3, and 61.3% from the free throw line, with a 64.5 true shooting percentage. And here's some even more crazy stats. Over his last 4 games, in the second half alone, from each of those games, he's averaging 25 points per game, 7.8 rebounds per game, 2.3 assists per game, on 53% from the field, 50% from 3 on 2.5 attempts per game, and 71.8 from the free throw line on 8 attempts per game. He's putting up numbers in the second half alone this season that are comparable to his numbers the season he made his first All-Star team. That's how dominant of a start to the season he has had. He has scored at least 30 points in the second half of 2 out of 5 games to start this season as well, which I don't think I need to explain why that's insane, but if you didn't know, scoring 30 points in any half of basketball is insane. Doing it twice in a 5-game stretch is even crazier. And the craziest part about all of this is that I don't feel like this is just a hot start. I feel like this is something Giannis can keep up for a whole season. What may seem crazy to think anyone could put up these kind of numbers for an entire 82-game season, it's also Giannis, the same guy who averaged almost 30 points per game and 30 minutes per game in a season. Someone who's put up MVP numbers in less than 33 minutes per game, which is incredible because less than 33 minutes per game is below what most superstars' average minutes per game was. So the idea of somebody putting up 34 points per game, 12 rebounds per game, and 6 assists per game for a season isn't that far-fetched when they've shown that they're a player that could easily put up those numbers multiple times if they got normal superstar minutes. I say this all the time when I talk about Giannis. You can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him and slow him down. And even then, when you do slow him down, it doesn't make it any easier to play against him. Yes, he's not a great shooter. I wouldn't even say he's a good shooter. But first of all, he is willing to take open jumpers, and he's closer to average than people think, in my opinion, when it comes to his ability to shoot the basketball. But regardless of that, even without a jump shot, they still can't stop him because they give him space on the perimeter, they dare him to shoot, but the thing is, he just uses that space as a runaway to gain momentum attacking the basket. And when he has momentum attacking the basket downhill, he is the most unstoppable player in the sport, and I don't even think it's close. He has a combination of speed, strength, flexibility, and a frame that makes him, in my opinion, the apex of what a slasher is. Despite some people thinking he's just a run and dunk athlete, he's actually one of the best finishers in basketball because he has a counter to every form of defense you can throw at him. He can finish around taller defenders. He has the strength to match stronger defenders, and he can finish over a majority of other defenders. Trying to force him to take jumpers actually just gives him more room to gain momentum attacking the basket. There are times that you can build a wall against him, and we've seen in the past that it can slow him down. In fact, it's even neutralized him as a scorer. Remember the Toronto Raptors series back in 2019? That's probably the biggest example of it. Miami had some success against him in that regard back in the bubble, but he's also clearly worked on ways to finish around that kind of defense that he gets thrown at him. And he did what all great players do, which is take the barriers placed in front of him and learned and developed ways to overcome those barriers, which is why he's so unstoppable now. On top of the skills and physical gifts that make Giannis one of the most dominant scorers basketball has ever seen, he also is a really good passer as well. He has good vision, decent accuracy, and most importantly, he understands his scoring gravity. I know I bring this up all the time when I talk about passing and playmaking, and I know scoring gravity seems like a term that has been run into the ground by the basketball community on Twitter and on YouTube even. But when it comes to scorers that are of the level that Giannis is, and there aren't many of them, and there aren't many that produce the way Giannis does either, the point is that Giannis is going to draw an absurd amount of scoring gravity, especially with Giannis being a player that no one can defend one-on-one. And the fact that he's a good passer makes it even harder to defend him. It takes multiple defenders to even have a chance to stop him, and when he can make passes out of help and read the floor well, it means he's able to get easier looks for his teammates, and he has teammates that can finish at the basket and hit open shots. So you have a dominant scorer that can also find his open teammates, and that's a dangerous combo for a 7-footer with that kind of strength and athleticism alone. But when you also factor in the fact that he has a team that's very well built around him, it makes it even more deadly. On top of being an absolute monster on offense, he's also one of the best defensive players in basketball. His athleticism doesn't just apply to his offense, it applies to his defense as well. He can cover so much ground due to his wingspan, strength, speed, a lot of movement skills, and height. He can block shots, he can defend the post, he can defend the perimeter, but his best role on defense, in my opinion, is as a free safety style hub defender. Somebody that can cover the entire floor. He can defend 1v1 and do it very effectively, but he's most effective as a player who can affect an entire half court on defense rather than just one player. His physical gifts and his feel for the game on defense would be wasted if he was simply a 1v1 defender, when he can cover and affect an entire floor at a high level, and I can't even put into words how valuable that is. And like with his offense, when you're someone who's 7 feet tall, with a 7'3" wingspan, with that kind of athleticism and strength, on top of that motor, you are going to be an elite defensive player, especially when, again, you have that kind of feel for the game that Giannis has on defense, like he does on offense as well. The best way to describe Giannis is that he was built in a lab. He's 7 feet tall, he's 243 pounds, with a 7'3" wingspan. He has the strength of a center, he has the handle and speed of a guard, he has the movement skills of a wing, he can go coast to coast in 5 or less steps. Every facet of his finishing ability when attacking the basket, and when around the basket is at a peak level. He's a good passer that knows his scoring gravity. He's an elite defender. His flaws and weak points as a player don't slow him down from being one of the most dominant players of all time. And that's truly a testament to just how dominant of a player he is. He does everything on the court. The list of players historically who are as dominant on both ends of the floor as he has been is very small, and there's nobody in the modern NBA who's doing what he does as a dominant player on both ends of the floor. And that's why, in my opinion, he is the best player in the world. It's not the usual flawed logic of claiming a two-way player is better than a dominant offensive player because a two-way player is better defensively and is close enough on offense. It's the fact that Giannis is the most dominant offensive player in the world, and I don't think it's up for debate. And one of the most dominant defensive players in the world as well. And the list of players in the history of the sport who have done what he's done as a basketball player is very, very small. So I would love to hear your thoughts about Giannis in the comment section below. Do you think he's overrated? Do you think he's underrated? Do you think he's the best in the league? If you don't, who do you think is the best player in the league? Do you think he's going to win MVP? Do you think the Bucks have a chance to win the title? Love to hear all that in the comment section below. Leave some feedback if you feel like it, obviously. Yeah, but that being said, have a nice day, and I'll see you guys in the next one.